Good morning, everybody. Okay, we are recording this phone call, so I'm going to just ask a couple of things. We're going to have a ton of realtors logging in. We're going to have a ton of admins logging in. I have to keep the lines open so I can actually ask the questions of Alicia and Danielle and make sure that we have open lines. So here's what I'm going to ask you guys. Please mute yourself if you are not on the panel. So I can hear a ton of people right now. So *6 will mute you guys. And if you have a mute function on your phone, please use it. Unless you are me or the two panelists, I'm going to ask you guys to do that. Whoever's talking, we can hear you. We're going to have over 300 people on this call, so we're just going to ask that you *6 yourself. We got about 1 to 2 minutes before we start. If you are the panelist, you do not mute yourself, but everybody else, I'm going to ask you to do that. We want to record this call. That's why I can't mute everybody. So we want to record this call. We want to share this call. We want to use this call to help other admins that couldn't be on this call, and we want to use that. So whoever's got the background noise, you better watch out because I can hear it, and it's coming in quite hard. So we want to watch out for that. So again, we had a little bit of a challenge with somebody putting us on hold this week. So on one of our calls. So we did find out who that was. We haven't spoken to them yet, but that person may be on this call. So do me a favor, no hold. Okay, we're starting in less than 60 seconds. So rules of engagement, I'm going to do it again. So my name is Gillespie. I'm the CEO of Red Apple Coaching. We're doing a group call today, interviewing 2 of our favorite VPs of admins and getting their takeaways on some of on an event they just went to, which was awesome. If you are on this call, *6 mutes you. Please use it unless you are speaking on this call. If you're speaking on this call, you don't need to do that. We hear lots of feedback, so that's why we ask you guys to just *6 yourself. If you have a mute function on your phone, use the mute function. Do not put us on hold. The person who put us on hold this past week, we had to listen to their hold beeping for 10 minutes and while they went and dealt with something else. That also tells me if you're doing that, that also tells me that what the heck are you on the call for if you're distracted with other things, okay? So be very careful about that. I think we've got it all under control. I'm seeing, as typical, we got a lot of last-minute dialer-ins. So I'll say it one more time, and then we're going to roll into it. Let me just see here. Alicia, I got you on the call, right? I just want to test.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Miss D, are you on the call too?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I just love that. That's so good. That's amazing. Well, so we've got 2 of my favorite VPs of admins on the phone right now. They're killing it, both of them in their different perspectives, both of them with different teams. So I'm going to do the rules of engagement one more time because I just saw that we had about 100 people log in all of a sudden. So I'll do it one more time, and then we're going to get rolling with this call. Okay, so a couple of things, housekeeping. My name is Gillespie. I'm the CEO of Red Apple Coaching. Today, we are interviewing 2 of the top VPs of admins in the real estate industry. They just attended an amazing training session by Christy Belt-Grossman called Ops Boss Training and Development. Amazing, amazing, amazing woman. I love that woman. Anyway, she's doing great. What? Okay, so whoever just said slaughterhouse, we just heard you. Okay, so yeah. There's a thing that I've said 16 times, *6, mute yourself. Okay, I don't know, this is a live call, so we can hear you. And we actually know who you are because I can see who's talking. So anyway, do me a favor, please. I don't know why you'd be talking about slaughterhouses at 9:30 in the morning, but it's all right. Anyway, do me a favor, guys. If you are not speaking on this call, *6 to mute yourself. Take your microphone, put it down, *6, mute yourself. There's no reason for you to not have yourself muted. I can't do a group mute, guys, for only reason, a couple things. We're in the middle of a massive storm right now, so we may lose power. So all of our computers are off right now because we are going to lose power likely in about 10 minutes. So I'm on a different line and everything. So do me a favor, guys. *6. Okay, good. Now that we've got that going, we're rolling into this. If by chance I'm seeing background noise like I am right now, whoever's moving around, star 6 yourself, please. Okay, and if you can't, you're going to be kicked off the call and blocked. Got it? Very simple. I'm putting the hammer down, guys. This is taking too long. It's been 5 minutes. I've said the same thing. If you are not Danielle, if you are not Alicia, or if you're not me, you should star 6 your asses and mute you, okay? Please. Thank you. All right, we're rolling right now. We want to wrap this up on time today. Okay, so with all that housekeeping, and we've learned a valuable lesson about people in star 6, we're going to go ahead, and I want to hear a little bit for one. We've got 2 great admins on this call. Again, I'm hearing some background noise, so if it is Alicia or Danielle, make sure that you guys also, I'm not really paying attention to that, but if it is you guys, make sure that you're not in a car, make sure you're not, we don't hear any background noises on that, because I am hearing a little bit of kickback or feedback. If you have multiple people dialing in from the same room, understand you have to star 6 yourself, because we're going to hear background noises. So, Alicia, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so my name's Alicia Stoakley. I am the operations manager for Barrett Realty Advantage in Hamilton, Ontario. We are on track to do about 27 transactions this year. I've been in the industry for 4 years. I've worked for Barrett Realty Advantage for just over a year.
Awesome.
My big rocks right now are recruiting and creating systems that allow my agents on my team to focus on their one thing and their one thing only, which is making calls, following up, going on appointments, recruiting, and really, really focusing on their one thing so that there is absolutely no distractions, because anything else that is in this business right now is my job, and the rest of and that portion is hers.
I love it. That is awesome. Thank you. And Mrs. D, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I am Danielle Veneau. I'm with the Dentremont Group at Keller Williams, just south of Boston, Massachusetts. Yes. Go Bruins and go Pats.
Terrible.
Shameless plug.
I know, shameless plug. But Tom Brady's next. No, I'm kidding.
But we're a team of 3 at the moment. Our team is kind of in a reconstruction mode. So that's kind of the lens that I viewed this seminar through, is how to get us through this reconstruction period.
That is awesome. Awesome. I love it. So you know what? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. First of all, what I like about both of these ladies is that they're both at different phases in their team building. Okay. So I love Alicia's going to be part of one of what I think is one of my favorite team leaders, Claire. I just love her passion, her development, and how she's incredibly growth-minded, and so I think she's going to be one of the ones that you really want to pay attention to of what she's growing. So I love the development stages, and I love the partnership between these two. It's really great. And Danielle has been through, she's been through a lot, meaning she's grown the team with Billy, and then she went on mat leave, produced another child, which is awesome, and then jumped right back in. And there was a whole bunch of different dynamics that happened when she was gone, and I just thought it was really impressive. And watch out for these two. I just think that they're great resources, and they're going to really be contributing on this call. I love it. So Alicia, can you tell me a little bit about the amazing event that you went to with Christy Bell-Grossman? I just want to kind of hear a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So, quick, I actually got a scholarship for this event, so it was something that I actually had to really jump out of my comfort zone to go to. I had to apply to go, and I was chosen out of quite a few other people to attend this event. And it was an event in operations like I had never seen, and I had never ever experienced or been to before. So it really focused on not only the systems that you need to grow your business, but who you need to be in order to get there. So what are you doing? Nice. Not only what are the systems in your business, but what are the systems currently in your life that are going to help you grow to be the best version of you, to meet your goals and your dreams? Because if you're not being who you need to be, that stuff is never going to happen.
Exactly. I really like that. We're going to come back to that. That is really good. And I think, Danielle, how many people were at this event?
I would say over 100 easily.
And most of them were VP of Ops like you guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then the speakers ranged from VP of Ops to Ops coaches to mega agents to agents that run a handful of teams in a handful of states. So the speakers ran the gamut from ops people to mega agents.
I think that's awesome. And so here's an interesting thing for everybody on this call to take away, because I know we have a ton of VP of Ops that have actually dialed in, and we have a ton of CEOs now that are dialing in as well, going, I want to hear some of this too. One of the biggest things that I want to point out, whether you're VP of Ops on this call or whether you're actually the CEO on this call, whoever you are on this call, because we do have a ton and people are going to be listening to this afterwards. One of the biggest takeaways that I want to kind of point out, guys, is that, there's not enough, and you're going to see the trend start to happen. VP of Ops they should be growth oriented. Okay. So they should be very growth oriented mindset, which means don't hide them away from professional development. Seek out opportunities like this and go, what are the events that I could be sending my VP of Ops to? Am I growing them? Are they finding their tribe? And when you find a tribe, guys, you're going to develop at a higher level, and you're going to see the trend to develop VP of Ops really stick out there in 2020, because it's finally getting to that point where it's like not just the CEO should be taking coaching or development or events or opportunities or licensed agents. We got to get our VP of Ops out there and saying, look, you're supposed to be our empire builders. How do they build an empire if their brain is never being fed? So anyway, really good stuff here. I really, really, really love it. Okay, so moving onwards and upwards, okay? I want to kind of go back. So I'm going to ask both of you some of the same questions, not because I have nothing better to do, but because I want to hear some of the takeaways, okay? So we're looking at, what would you say, if we're looking, Alicia, at you, okay? What would you say is one of your biggest takeaways that you got from the event?
How to build a system properly. So
Elaborate.
I want everybody on this call to go back and look at their systems and ask yourself a couple of questions. Is this working the way that I thought it was going to be working? Is it giving us the return on investment that we thought that it would? Did you guys look at a return on investment on your systems? If you don't, that's your first step. Please go back and do that. Profit is a line item, guys. It is so
what do you
important.
mean by that? What do you mean by that? How would I measure a system? Give me an example of how somebody is measuring a system on a team.
Okay, so if you're looking at your system, I want you to check the first thing. Does it have a purpose? What is the purpose of this system?
Like a database.
Yeah, so if you're looking at your database, what is the purpose of your database? The purpose of your database is to feed your business. Those are your customers. They are your biggest sales representatives. Are you nurturing them properly? Are you getting referrals from them? Are you speaking to them on a consistent basis and feeding them good material? What is the vision for your database? What do you, in 5 years, in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, what do you and your team, what's your vision for your database? How many people are going to be in it? And then there are a few other steps. So when you're building a system, it's purpose, vision, brainstorm, execute, and next steps.
What?
So,
I love it.
And that's how you build a system. So what I realized when I was there is that I always start in the middle. I always start at brainstorm. I want to dump all of my ideas out onto a piece of paper and go from there. But did the system have a purpose? Because how do we know that it's working if we can't go back to its original purpose? How do we know that we're growing it in the way that we were supposed to be growing it if we didn't originally have a vision for it for 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? So skipping those two steps is going to cause you to go into a loop of if it's not working, go back to the brainstorm, execute next steps, and you're missing the key components. And the key components of a system like database is to get you a return on investment. Ops on this call, guys, it is your job to bring in 3 or 4 times your income. That's how you show you are valuable. And in order to do that, you have to drive profit in your business. So,
oh my God, I love hearing this. Okay, keep going. Yep.
If you are not driving profit in your business, then you're not doing your job. And you might be like staring at your computer, rolling your eyes a little bit, but like that's the reality of the situation. So go back to your systems and use these 5 steps, guys. Purpose, vision, brainstorm, execute, next steps. Make it. Oh my God, I love it. Put it on your business plan. Put it on your steps for the next year that you are going to audit every single system you have to make sure it is working. And remember, you know a system is working if it's bringing you 3 times the cost of it. So if your ROI is 3 times the cost of your system, then you're doing it. It's working. If it's not, reevaluate. And reevaluate with those 5 steps. Like I said, purpose, vision, brainstorm, execute, next steps.
I love it. And so how often should we be visiting that system? Like, should it be monthly, weekly? Like, how often should we be visiting? And should we incorporate our CEOs into that, or do we run that in the background? We just go, okay, we'll monitor it, and, you know, if we see there's an issue, we'll talk about it, but otherwise, you know.
Okay, for one,
Mm-hmm.
we should always be monitoring cash flow weekly. We should know what is coming in and out of our business as far as
Every
money.
week.
Weekly, always weekly. We like to monitor our systems, like going forward in 2020. I'm monitoring them every month just to get stats from them. So monthly, I'm going into our database. I'm pulling the stats. How many people opened our emails? What's our click rate? How many people are engaging and responding? How much business did we get? And then quarterly, you're going to want to sit down with your CEOs and go over this stuff, because if there is an issue and you are seeing a lack, that's when you have to sit down and talk to your CEO about what to change. So database is a funny one because you're using marketing. So you need 3 to 6 months of good data to know if something is working or not. So, but always quarterly.
That's good.
Always quarterly, sitting down with your CEOs and going over your top 20% and making sure you're meeting deadlines.
That is really good, and I'm going to come back to you on that in a second. Danielle, let me hear your perspective on it. So your biggest takeaway.
So for me, my biggest overall takeaway, I think just by hearing everybody was that everybody on stage there was at kind of a different level in where they wanted to be, but they were all successful in what they were doing. And my biggest takeaway was that mindset plus action equals their success. Yeah. So, and for me, like, I've heard that a million times, and it really runs home that if we don't have our mindset in place, no matter what action we take, we're not going to get the traction that we need. And then vice versa, if we have the actions but we don't have the purpose, like Alicia was talking about, we're not going to get anywhere with it. We're just going to be running around chasing our tail.
So what do you do, Danielle, if you have a team leader that's, like, was it ever brought up? What if your team leader isn't casting a vision? I mean, team leaders are running faster than they've ever ran.
Yes. Yep. There was a lot of talk about that, actually. That was one of the biggest issues that was in the room, was communication and transparency. So for me, I think bringing back that, diving into the purpose and starting with the purpose of the team, the vision of the team, all of that. And sometimes it's okay to just not know, I feel.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So for us, we were in this momentum mode, and then it kind of came to a halt, right? So it's time to reevaluate. It's time to step back and look at it.
Okay. Well, how would you reevaluate it if you have a team leader who's stepping back, like all of a sudden the production goes back? Okay. Now, as VPs of ops, you guys see this all the time. You see momentum with your team owners, and then something happens. I've seen it in every area. I've seen people become really into momentum, and then they get really excited because they have like 30, 40 transactions closing, and all of a sudden they pull back and they go, all right, I think I'm going to take a 2-week trip, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. When you see your team owner, for whatever reason, they could be on a bad streak. We have team leaders that go on bad streaks, and they're like, I'm not getting any of my listings. I've lost 10 listing appointments. Like, I'm in a bad zone. How do you step in then if you notice that your team's production has gone backwards? Is that your area to step in, Danielle? Is that not your area to step in? What do you do?
Absolutely. So it takes all sides of the team to kind of pick themselves back up. So it's time to analyze, for us, one of our favorite activities, they talk about this at the seminar too, is to step back and analyze, get it on a whiteboard, what is working really, really well and what's not working well. So focus on the things that work. Even in a sucking period, there were things that you won at, right? Not everything was horrible, not everything was bad. So focusing on what you were good at and kind of just getting the rest off your plate for the moment. So for our team, where we kind of stumbled and why we're in reconstruction mode was that we brought on an agent and we didn't have a plan for them. So we hired a buyer's agent who was experienced at the time. They became part of our team, but we kind of let them just do what they were doing solo as a part of our team. And that didn't really work. So my takeaway from the training was we have to get super purposeful with Monday meetings. So those fell off the radar, and then our business did. And I don't think that's really coincidence. So on Monday, the meeting plan with agents is 3 steps. It's review their current pipeline. Do they have a pipeline? Who's in the pipeline? How solid is it? How hard do we have to work to build the pipeline to where we need it to be? We review their economic model, so where they said they wanted to be for the end of the year, and how close, where their gap is. And then we review their third cash flow. So we decided that if an agent doesn't have at least $10,000 in GCI pending for the next 30 days, that their business is in a recession.
Oh my God, that's a takeaway. That's a golden nugget right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is really good. So you label their business. So that's a great takeaway, guys. So if you're looking, oops, sorry about that. I almost just lost my mic. I was so excited. Anyway, if you're looking at talking to your team owners, that is a great minimum. I mean, that's not going to be for the bigger teams because they have massive, and that's what I was just going to ask you, is that a scalable thing? Like, so if they don't have 10,000 for the next 30 days in pending closings, then your business is technically in a recession. So let me ask you an interesting question. Does that scalable if you have a team that's, let's say, producing $1 million of GCI? Is it scalable? Is there a different number that we should be looking at? Because that's for a smaller team, obviously. Is there a different level?
Yeah,
is it
absolutely.
expense-based or what?
So for us, and that's net to that agent. So that's not net to the team. So this is an individual meeting with every agent on our team. So we're that your goal for the month is $10,000. So as long as you have $10,000 a month, you'll hit around $100,000 in GCI at the end of the year.
Okay.
So for us, in our market, for an agent to net $10,000 a month, that's only two homes sold.
Okay. That's nothing. That's nothing.
Right.
So that's
when you boil it down to the nitty-gritty details instead of just giving them a goal and giving them a pat on the bum and saying, go get it. But it's completely different to sit them down and say, this is financially where you're at for the next 30 days, and if you don't hit it, this is where you're going to be.
I love
that you said that we were missing on our team.
I don't think I've heard many teams hit that accountability. I think what we run into, guys, and maybe you can actually talk about this, Alicia, for a second, is that I hear all the time that when I get a phone call from a VP of Ops, they'll say, you know what, I want to do those cash conversations, but how do I do those cash conversations without getting fired? Like, you know, it's that fine line, like how do I stand up for my team leader and say, hey, I want to just have a cash talk with you. It's almost like that, do I have the right to do it? And I guess that's, you know, how would you suggest, Alicia, with those people on this call who are saying, I don't want to lose my job, and you know, that almost feels like a confrontational conversation. What would you suggest, Alicia?
I want everybody, okay, I don't have these issues within my team because I just do it. Like, I literally just stand up and have that conversation, and I'm not shy about it. Like, I won't be shy about it, because here's the thing, is that you have to also, how do I word this? Just honestly, guys, if you are concerned, it all depends on your agent. So something we learned is use the DISC and the KPA to coach yourself on how to speak to your CEOs. Because you need to take a really good look at how they need to be communicated with. You have to get down on their level, because just because you want to be communicated to one way does not mean that's how they need communication. These are tough 100%. Conversations. But you have to remember, you are partners in this business. You run if you imagine it as in a car, and you're at the front of the car and you're steering through all of these pathways. You are the driver of a vision. So if you want to maintain a vision and you realize that there is a gap, it is your job to stand up and say it. And just do it in a polite, professional way, but make sure that there's a bottom line. Say, listen, this is what's going on. This is where we are. And you know what? Like I said, I've been in this business for 4 years as some variety of operations, and I've never, ever been fired for telling the truth. Never.
Good
and I have had tough conversations, very tough ones that made me want to vomit. But I've never been fired. Never have I been fired. Never have I been reprimanded. And I've worked for two very different people, two very different gifts, two very different personality styles, two very different everything. And as uncomfortable as the conversation is, remember your CEO hired you because they believed in you. And they hired you because they trusted you. They hired you because you were skilled and talented and you were growth-minded and you can do this. So don't ever, as scared as you are, be bigger than your fear, because on the other side of fear is magic. And I promise that after that conversation, not only will you feel good, but guys, operations on this call, something we learned is nothing changes until the unsaid gets said. Nothing.
Oh, I love it. And so I was at a conference once with John Maxwell, and he had some amazing speakers there. And he had said something, and he said, you know what, the biggest thing that kills businesses is secrets. And so if there's a secret happening and you don't have good communication as a CEO, as a VP of Ops, you don't have good communication within the leadership team,
you have nothing.
You have nothing. You're going to have secrets, and you're going to find out that great thing where it says gradually, then suddenly, all of a sudden when somebody comes to you and says, oh, I'm leaving the team, you're like, wait a second, what happened? Why are you leaving? I didn't even know there was a problem. If that's happening, then that means that you don't have good communication. Okay, and there is no way around it. You can say that the other person just was intimidated and stuff like that, but the truth is that I think what I love about what Alicia said is, as a CEO of multiple companies myself, is that I fire people for making me lose money. I don't think I've ever done a firing for somebody who's come to me and said, Marianne, you're losing money in this area. I need you to do this, or I need us to have a really key performance indicator conversation, and we need to have a come to Jesus moment because this is where you're at. I've never done that. If anything, I appreciate it. Yeah, like I appreciate that. And I think, you know, it's really interesting because we get a lot of people that think that the VP of Ops position is just a paperwork position, and it's not. These guys are and I know you're all on this call as well, but you guys are the empire builders. That's what I call you guys. You're empire builders. And when we talk about hiring you guys, I always say to the CEOs, find your empire builder. That means we need to trust you in the area of saying, hey, listen, these guys need to build your company. So, Alicia, I'm going to get back to you for a second. So you had made a comment a couple questions ago that you said a 3 times return on your salary. And I've heard Christy talk about that all the time. Tell me how, because she gets asked, that's one of the number one questions she gets asked, how does a VP of Ops get a database system or any system that gives a measurable 3 times return on their salary? What did she do, or what did you come out with that event that makes you go, that's how she did it, or that's how it's done?
Okay, so one of 2 things. So one of them was actually recruiting for your team, because recruiting for your team is going to bring profit. Training your team, creating an onboarding system that gets people into production in under 45 days in a systematic way, creating emotions and moments for people that join you. So that is going to bring you business. And there's going to be a lot of ops people on this call that say, oh, well, how do I recruit for my team? Like,
exactly.
Okay, this is a great way. So I will share this with Marianne after so she can send you a sample of this. But it is a WOW card. So it says, wow, thank you for providing me with WOW service. You were courteous, responsive, efficient, and talented. I have multiple amazing positions available for somebody like you. Please call me, cell phone, your email address, and your team name. So this is a great way to, if you're out and about in the like anywhere, like think about every single person that you meet that you're like, wow, these people are freaking awesome. They gave me great service. They were responsive. They were detail oriented. They knew what they were talking about, and they were a rock star. Well, if you can be a rock star server and you have that much and you can bring that much to the table, why can't somebody do that in real estate? Like, why are you not looking at every single person that you come in contact with that is amazing as somebody that could join your business? And you want to make sure that when you're out and about that you are a walking brand. You are a walking, talking brand. Every single person you want to think, oh, could we recruit them? Because it is about not only growing your business, but growing your own profit share. So people always talk about, like, oh, well, how not only do I bring business to my team and create profit to my team, but how do I bring a second income in for myself? And this is the way to do it. It's like killing two birds with one giant perfect stone. And
wow.
It is. So that's the first way. Recruiting for your business, recruiting talent, building your bench. Because guess what, guys? You need to bring people in because your mega agent does not have time for that. They need to be on the phone, converting leads, going on appointments, and killing sales. They need to be helping interview people. You need to be bringing people to the team. And this is such a good way to do that. Creating systems around recruiting, creating 8x8 plans for people that you do business with. You talk to these guys more than your agent does if you're doing it properly, in my opinion.
It's true.
So why are you not building relationships with them? Because you are that front line. You are the first person they talk to after they do a transaction with the agent. You are detail oriented. You are casting the vision that you and your CEO have talked about. So why are you not screaming that to the world? So that's the first one.
Wow.
Also,
I mean, I'm just going to add to that because honestly, like I had goosebumps. So I just want to, like, you guys are giving such great takeaways today. I just want to say something. Get into action, guys. Like when you listen to this and you're going, okay, you don't need your CEO's permission to do wow cards. And if you're a CEO hiring your first VP of Ops and you're hearing this kind of conversation and you're a lot of VPs or CEOs, came to me and said, hey, can I just jump on the call? I really want to hear how they talk. Listen to how these two are talking. If you're looking to see what your perfect admin hire should really look like or sound like, this is the type of language. You're hearing it. There's a big variance that I want to point out when you hire a VP of operations. There's two things. You are either hiring somebody for a job, meaning they're looking for a paycheck, okay, in which case it's going to be very paycheck-oriented. It's going to be very me. The way I'm hearing these two talk, and this is why I wanted these two on this phone call, not just because they went there, it's because I think that they're just awesome. The point is their conversation has nothing to do with them. They are very much, they're empire builders. They understand, Alicia and Danielle understand that building an empire is what their position is. They're not paper pushers, okay? So they are not there to just file your trade records or to, I think I'll post some social media. Both of these girls have a mindset where they're going, I'm here to grow and build the freaking company. And that's what you want to hear when you're interviewing. For those of you who are CEOs listening in and hearing this, pay attention to what they're talking about. Those of you who are VP of Ops, you don't need permission to do up the cards. Bring it as a suggestion in the next meeting and be like, by the way, here's a sample of what I've done. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hand this out. It's going to be awesome to anybody who's great. I'd like to share it with everybody else. Are we good with me doing 100 copies of this? And we all have a goal of sending them out by the end of the month. If I had somebody who did that, which by the way, we're stealing that idea. We're R&Ding it, rip off and duplicating it. It's amazing. Like I'm totally taking it. I'm going, why am I not doing that? And I think I'm one of the most out of the box thinkers there is. And I'm going, that is perfect because how many people do I see in a day? I mean, when I was building my house, I ran into, I don't know, maybe 100 service providers that blew my socks off. And if I had that card, my business would be very different. I probably would have a lot of different people in my company right now. So anyway, great idea. I love it. Go on to your next point, Alicia. I cut you off, so go ahead.
That's okay. Okay, and then my next one is repeat referral business out of your database. Guys, there's Marianne coaches on this all the time with your agent. So there's two parts to your system. There's your database, which is everybody who is not met and not met, and then there is leads. These are two very separate things. The lead is that belongs to your agent. The database is your baby. Rock it, nurse it, put it to bed at night, love it, and grow it so it's a big, strong, money-making machine. So that is your bread and butter, okay? So you want to be making sure that you are getting repeat and referral business out of your database. And you do that by, for one, segmenting it so that it is organized to the max. Make sure that it's tagged properly, staged properly. Make sure that everybody's contact information is full and correct. It takes time, but that is your job. Sometimes you want to look at it and I want to throw my database and like kick it sometimes because I'm like, oh, well, that's not perfect. But guess what? Perfection impedes progress. You want it perfect, but if you're so concerned about every nitty-gritty detail being absolutely perfect, it is going to take you so long to get results. And this is not a slow-moving business. This is a fast race car-moving business, and you need to be able to keep up. So make sure that you're looking at it all of the time. You are looking at your database very closely once a month. I would even go as far as weekly because it's that important. So repeat business, referral business, engagement, making sure that you are providing content that gets these people talking and calling you. I am not perfect in this. Just because I'm saying this is exactly what you do, it is something we are growing into because I am not perfect and it's something I still struggle with. But this conference made me realize that is how important it is. And making sure that you're reevaluating it and going back to it because it's the bread and butter of your business. So so making sure that repeat clients, getting referrals out of it, nurturing them, loving on them, and making sure that when your agent picks up the phone and calls them, that they know who that agent is, because that is your job.
That is amazing. Danielle, how do you build on that? So Danielle, what do you think about that same question about how do you bring 3 times your value to the team? So we got 2 great ideas. Can you match it with another?
Absolutely. So for me, my intention with our database is to create absolute raving teams. So our system's communication style is all built around creating an amazing customer experience. So when we're done with our clients, we're invited to their weddings.
Nice.
Billy was asked to be justice of the peace to marry actually 2 of our clients this year.
Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna marry them?
No, they chickened out at the last minute and had a family member do it, but they still invited him. So we 10x our client experience. So when we're communicating with our clients, we never want them to ask us questions in return. We always want to answer their questions before they ask them. So every call we end with, here's what's coming next.
Nice.
So we just solidify ourselves as friends and resources within our client database. And that's really well for us. 90% of our business comes from repeat clients.
Okay, so how do you know it's working? So let's talk about measurables for a second, okay? So great idea. I love it. I love what I'm hearing. The point that Danielle's trying to make is that we want to get more of a society response. They want more of a communication with us. They want to feel like they're part of something. So my question to you is that how do I know if it's working, Danielle? How do I actually know? What is my measurables on this?
So we lead track every lead that comes into our team. We have a Google form that agents fill out the second somebody raises their hand. So we're able to track where our leads are coming from and how our conversion rates. And our conversion rates are higher from our database than they are from any other lead source.
Okay, and so what are you looking for? Like, so if I have 100 people in my database, do we have a database goal to build that? And do we look and say, I should be getting 10 people? Should I be getting 20 people? What kind of referral am I looking for from the database?
Yeah, so for us, our goal is to grow our database 3 times over next year. So for us, that means adding 5 new additions a day. And for us, if our lead source for our closed transactions falls below 80%, we're absolutely doing something wrong. And that's something that we monitor.
Good measurable. That's a really good measurable. Like, I really like that. So you have a standard where you're watching going, if it falls, if you guys heard this, she said if it falls below a certain percentage, then she knows that we're doing something wrong. Something has to be reevaluated, and you have to look at it, which I think is something that we're missing a lot with our teams that we coach. we're not seeing that kind of ownership from the VPs of ops. And I want you guys to really listen to this because it's important. But more beyond that, if you don't have a key performance indicator that says, okay, if we're falling below X amount of percentage in one area, what are, that is a red flag and we need to have an emergency meeting about it. So I really like that. I think that that's great. Like that's really important. So Danielle, let me ask you another question. Do you bring your own personal database to the table? Are you growing your own personal database?
Absolutely. Both our client database and our talent database. So as ops, sometimes we kind of sit in the background and we don't really make a splash and we're kind of quiet. But I would absolutely encourage everybody to take meetings. Take meetings with vendors, take meetings with lenders, take meetings with other business owners that you know that might have an interest in real estate someday. It's been a huge resource just sharing how we operate our business. Our business plan with other small business owners that also work by referral has been a huge value for us. And it's an easy meeting to take.
It is. It's a really easy meeting to take. Let me ask you a question. So, Alicia, I'm coming back to you for a second. So, biggest problem that was kind of like a consensus, like if there was one area that CEOs need to get their shit together in order to make your world just slightly better and more productive, what do you think is the common thing that we're not doing
Consistency.
to do it?
Consistency.
Okay. Elaborate. Tell us about that.
So I think that you need to inspect what you expect. And when you are in a leadership position, being really consistent in your activities is so important. So casting a vision is one, but being really consistent. So do what you say you're going to do and always do what you say you're going to do, because we can't fire our CEOs. We can't do that. So if you look at what you are doing each and every day.
We would be unemployed if you did that. We would be in so much trouble if you guys could fire us. We'd be dead. Okay.
But I'm being really honest about this is because, like, if you think, I want every CEO on this call to think, if my VP of operations was doing what I was doing, would we keep them? If my VP of operations or anybody that I worked with was doing what I was doing, would I keep them? And if your answer is no, you need to reevaluate what you're doing each and every day, because that's not fair.
100%.
And
that's really good.
That's really, and I kind of want to vomit saying it, but it's true, because it's not fair to you. It's not fair to yourselves. And like, we joined CEOs because we believed in them just as much as they believed in us. We bought into their vision. We partner with them because not only do we love their business, but most of us, I mean, me personally, I'm really close with my CEO and I love her dearly. So I want we want what's best for them as much as you want what's best for us. So just be really consistent, guys. Like, be really purposeful around what you're doing. And just because it's your business doesn't mean that you can go do whatever you want. Like, it's just not fair. So that was the biggest thing that was a really common theme, was consistency in activities and performing the same way that you expect your employees to perform.
I love that. I think that's really good. And Danielle, did you hear kind of the same thing? It's like consistency. It's like setting the vision and then not deviating from it.
Yep. And then to add to that, I think one of the biggest challenges that came up along with that was buy-in, right? So we can create all the systems in the world and they can be fine-tuned and they can be operating. And but if the buy-in is missing, we're going to get zero results.
Yep. So how do you get buy-in? How do you get buy-in? Like, define that for me.
So for me, buy-in, it can be looked at a few different ways. Sometimes it's looked at as effort, and other times it's, for me, what was important was starting with the right people. So one of the big takeaways that I heard was that we need to treat our teams like a Super Bowl championship team. So we can't hire people who need accountability. We have to hire people who need coaching. And those are two very different things. So
yeah, explain that, because I think you're onto something very important. So explain the difference between accountability and coaching.
So for me, if I think somebody needs to be held accountable to something, that means that I have to babysit them. It means that I have to force them to do what they need to do in order to be successful. And that's a lot of time and energy, and I'm focused on that other person doing their goals instead of all staying in our own lane to kind of fire at what we're great at.
Right.
Somebody who needs coaching, on the other hand, is somebody who's willing to do what they need to do. They're going to roll up their sleeves. They just need to be guided and directed. And I would much rather spend my time with somebody who needs guidance and direction than somebody who needs to be babysat and held their feet to the fire to achieve what they say they want to do.
I love that you said that. And so, guys, where you can hear this is a big difference is that, and the same thing comes with you guys as CEOs who are listening to this. The number one frustrating thing that I hear, which is kind of echoing with these two, what they're saying is that when we cast a vision, okay, as we head into 2020, and there's a very specific reason why we're doing this call today, because we're going to be doing our business planning finalization for the first week of December. So that's what we're doing this year. So here's the interesting thing. When we hear conversations like this, the most frustrating thing that I hear on a very consistent basis is that the CEO comes in, casts a vision for 2020, and says, here's where we're going to go. This is what we're going to do. And they get really excited. Next thing you know, the CEO has one hard month of, let's say, 30 days of really terrible hard month. Next thing you know, there's no discussion about the vision. There's no powerful conversations about conversions or systems. Everything goes on hold. CEO gets all conglomerated and goes, well, maybe I'm going to go this way, or maybe I'm going to go that way. Stick to what you're vision casting. You have 12 months to cast it. Your team, the CEOs, the leadership team that everybody has, you can't possibly execute something if it continually changes. So really be clear on the vision that you're casting with your team members and your leadership group and say, here's where we're going. Do we have it all planned out? Are we in alignment with this? Yes or no? And if something happens where 13 people leave our organization, or 3 people, or 1 salesperson leaves, you need to be prepared to go, nothing changes with the vision. Get into action. Right? Use your administration team, use your leadership team, use everybody to keep on track with the vision, but then it becomes that. So I'm in full agreement. The number one complaint I get is my CEO has said that we were going this direction, we were going to get 100 listings in the year, or 300 sales, or I'm going to reach 10,000. And what happens is that the CEO then all of a sudden decides that they saw a squirrel 2 months later, and that squirrel is like coming after them, and they're like, oh yeah. I know I didn't hit my listing goal, but next month I'll hit my listing goal. But right now, here's what I really want to do. I've decided I want to become a John Maxwell leadership coach. Like, I'm just using that as a hypothetical. And then next thing you know, your CEO has disappeared and gone, and I'm going to become I'm going to become a John Maxwell coach, and now I'm gone for 2 months. So anyway, we've got that awesome person who, here we go. I'm just going to block that. Okay, perfect. So that's one of the most important things that we look at right there. Okay, so it's critical. If you're the CEO, do not, under any circumstances, change that vision. You can grow it bigger if you're hitting all your targets, but stick with what you want to build over a 12-month increment, and no matter what happens. Okay. So a couple of other things. Okay. So that was one of the biggest challenges you guys got. So let me hear, Alicia, what are you implementing? So what was the thing that you're coming back and you're like, I'm doing this right away because I love it? The one thing.
Oh, that's such a loaded question. Okay. So
I know.
Okay. So I'm going to say 2 things because I can't just pick one. So I'm sorry, but I'll make it quick because I'll ramble. But the first one is going back to your CEOs and reinforcing what they want. But make sure that you're doing it in a way that motivates them, because some people aren't money motivated, guys. Like, your CEOs may not be motivated by money. They may not be motivated by the typical things. So reevaluate how they need to be spoken to. Get down and figure out what motivates them. Are they motivated by how they feel? Are they motivated by their physical internal feelings? Because sometimes that's really important and it gets lost. So make sure that they are being the best versions of themselves that they can be, because that is so, so important. Because if they're feeling lack, it is, in my personal opinion, it is your job to find where that lack is and find out how you can fill it. And that's not babysitting. That's being a partner.
Yeah,
So
that's really powerful.
I implemented right away, coming back and reevaluating our why, reevaluating our vision, and why, and reevaluating the things that didn't happen, and why they didn't happen, because that why is so big. Not just a why for your business, not just your big why, not just your team's big why, but why didn't the nitty-gritty details, why didn't the results happen? So it's really big in evaluating like why they didn't happen or why they did happen. Why did you guys soar? How were people feeling? How were people talking to each other? What was the communication styles in the team? What was your culture within a team? Because that is so important to results. It's not just about dollars and cents. It's also about culture, and if people feel fulfilled in their daily lives. Because if people aren't feeling fulfilled, then you are going to have lackluster results because there's something else going on, and you need to dig deeper. Get personal. Dig deeper until you hit the lava. Until you see the lava spewing out, and that's the reason, keep digging until you find it, and don't stop trying. Because if you believe in something as wholeheartedly as we should all believe in our teams and our CEOs and our vision for our business, then keep digging, because you'll hit it, and once you hit it, it's magic. And it might be hard. That. It might be a tough conversation, but it's so, so, so important. The other thing,
keep going. Yes, go.
And the other thing, I apologize. The other thing is reevaluating our systems. Do all of our systems have a purpose? Because we fell down this year on our database because we saw a swirl of internet lead generation, and it was a mistake that we made. It was a mistake that I got on board with, because I was like, oh, well, this squirrel seems really pretty because we do it too. We're not perfect. We are flawed. We make mistakes. We see squirrels too. So, if you buy into something that wasn't on your vision, it's just as much your fault that your vision didn't get cast as everybody else's. Everybody has to take a piece of ownership, because if you just pass the buck, then you're a paper pusher, and none of us need to be paper pushers on here, because that's what secretaries are for, and we're not secretaries, we're ops bosses, and that's so important.
And this is a great point. So I'm going to ask a couple power questions that, in the last 5 minutes of this call, but just to be very fair, guys, one of the things that Alicia just talked about, which I fully agree with on this as well, is when your CEOs, like, we go through ups and we go through downs. I hear it all the time. You don't know. Sometimes some teams are more personal. Sometimes teams aren't personal, whatever the case is. But if you're not hitting your sales targets, I can normally I can look, and normally I look and go, all right, if you're casting the visions and you've got your business plan, you've got all that, if you're not growing and building systems and models, you don't have the right ops boss. You just don't. If you have cul-de-sac talent, somebody who's just, walking around, and that's if you're a vision caster. If you're a vision caster, you got your shit together and you've got all the numbers, like in my world, I have all the numbers and all that stuff. If my targets aren't being met every month, it's not my coach's fault. It's not my sales team's fault. It's like, it's a combination. I got to look and go, is my system working? If I cast the vision and my assistant and VP of ops, if they're not coming to me and going, exactly what these two have talked about on this call, if we're not having meetings and they're not coming to me going, hey, let's take a look at this, let's take a look at that, then I don't have the right people, okay? That means I'm still actually the VP of Ops myself, which isn't going to work. So listen to the language, very important. Okay, couple really big power questions here. Guys, did they talk at all about bonus systems? Like, is there any bonuses that we should be looking at deriving that works for VP of Ops? Is there a bonus? Like, is it percentage of income? Is it this? Is it that? Is there any bonus system that we're looking at here?
So I think it really varies.
Question so far.
Yeah. I'm just looking. Is there anything that we could quickly be implementing that was kind of like, wow, I like to be bonused on that? Was there anything creative out there?
Yeah, it really varies on team size and income production. So I would say, so for bigger teams, profit share is a really big deal. If you have profit coming in, have you thought about profit sharing with your VP of operations? Because they really are driving your database and creating business. If you have people calling you, if you have people engaging with you, there's a bonus system on database and profit share. So that varies by team. That background is driving me crazy.
Yeah. Whoever's speaking right now, a dude, okay, in the background, *6 yourself. super easy. So just *6 yourself so we don't have to hear you. Thank you. Okay, keep going. Thanks. As we wrap up, we got less than 3 minutes. So let's wrap
Yeah.
up. Let's
So bonusing on database, profit share is a big deal, and bonusing on recruiting. So if you're using those wow cards and you have people flying into your talent database and you're building your bench, bonusing on recruiting.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Katie, do you have anything you want to add? Yeah.
Yeah. I personally get bonused on referrals to the team. So if you're
awesome. How much do you get paid?
not bonusing your admin staff on leads they're bringing to the team, you should start. They also talked about creating small incentive programs. So one of the teams, for every 20 transactions they close as a team together, they have a night out with spouses. When they hit their next 20, they go on a shopping spree. Each member of the team gets X amount of dollars budgeted. They get to go do their own thing. I
love that.
I know. There's a group trip. So I think this year they said they were going to Spain or Italy.
Yeah.
Like every year.
So that is awesome. So guys, remember this. If you're on this call and you're a VP of Ops or you're a CEO, either way, give incentives. They're great. If the business is exciting and it's producing and it's doing great things. I mean, literally, like I just talked to a CEO yesterday who's they hit their 100th deal, and she's got this great plan, all lined up with them, and it's going to be super fun. I'm like, that's what you need to be doing. Hit the milestones and get excited and bonus people. It's great. There's no such thing. If you're making money, give your team money. Let it be shared. Really quickly, here's an interesting question. Those people who are on this call who are trying to find people like you, where do we find you guys? How do we recruit you guys? Like, not you specifically, because I don't want your CEOs coming to me. But how do we find you? Like, yeah. I mean, where do we find you guys? Like, Alicia, where did you come from?
So I was an existing admin in our office. And
steal from other teams. Okay. No, I'm kidding.
No. So she actually, I'm being honest, she did not steal me.
I know she did.
I sought her out because I wasn't happy. So that's how she found me, because I was existing in our office and I was not being fulfilled. So I sought somebody else out in order for my own personal growth. So that's good. To be fair and honest, that's how she found me. But we did learn some ways. So those wow cards were a great way to find talent and your sphere of influence, guys. Look at your database. Who do they know? Who do those people know? Because the most talented people that we realized that came into teams came from people we already were in contact with. So your database should not just be producing referrals for business, but should be producing referrals for recruitment and talent purposes. And if you don't have a system surrounding that, you should. We are working on it. I don't have the magical answer to that, but it will be something we will be working on with Marianne and coaching. But really diving deep into how to get talent referrals from your database.
100%. I really like that because honestly, guys, you don't hire anybody. Hire the empire builder. That's why we're doing this call, and we're sharing it with all of our CEOs. They all want to hear it because at the end of the day, I keep saying this, the language you're hearing from these two is very different than somebody who's coming in and going, I'm going to process paperwork, or I can do an Excel sheet. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for empire builders. Okay, Danny, where did you come from?
In 2010, I came from Craigslist, but I also worked for
circa 2010. No, I'm kidding. Yeah,
right. Forever ago, I came from Craigslist, but I also worked for the office. And the agent that I work with now is one of the only agents in the office that I would ever consider working with and for. So absolutely build a rapport with everybody around you, because you don't know who's looking to make a move, who's feeling unfulfilled, who believes in you and you don't even know it. And we have a strong pipeline right now for a buyer's agent. I onboarded a transaction coordinator, and all of the people that we're in conversations right now came from people that we know. So they were warm leads. It was our transaction coordinator was actually a paralegal for a law office that we did a ton of business with. And she made the jump because she was looking for more flexibility and more positive atmosphere. She has big goals too that she wants to accomplish. And then our buyer agent candidates all came from other agents within the office that believe in us and want our team to grow. And also referrals from other market centers, other offices.
I love this. So I want to just wrap up and say to these guys, first of all, thank you for your time. The other thing is, guys, is that what you just heard with recruiting, get out there. Like, don't be a secret. If you're hiring, do not care what anybody else thinks. Go. Share your vision. Cast it. Be prepared for that. Couple things. So anyway, thank you very much to these guys for actually doing the call. I really appreciate that. I've gotten a million text messages already from people going, oh my God, more questions, more questions. We will ask these guys to do another one, but I do have other ideas. You know what? I'm going to talk to these ladies in the background, see if they're doing masterminds, if they want to share things, if they do group calls or anything like that. We'll get that info back to you, I promise. It's clear that more community feeling around and MINS needs to happen. So thank you very much for your time, guys. Thank you for the group call. We do have some interference right now as we wrap up this group call. So whoever is just on the call, please dial back in 30 seconds because you have a feed. Okay. We tried really hard. We almost nailed it, guys. We almost nailed it. All right. So thank you, Danielle. Thank you so much, Alicia. You guys are amazing. We will send a copy of this recorded call out to everybody later. And I just want to say thank you again. I hope, and I'm seeing the feedback already, that it was an awesome call. So we'll get another one on the books. And thank you guys for sharing. You have a great weekend. Okay, ladies?
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye.